Watching the news in English is a great way to improve your English. Unfortunately, they often use really large vocabulary words, confusing English idioms, and of course, those pesky English phrasal verbs. In today's English lesson, we are going to look at a news story out of Los Angeles. Los Angeles is our second biggest city here in the United States. It's known for producing movies, but it's also known for producing some crazy crime stories. And this story is no different. This story is about a man who hijacks a city bus. We will talk about what hijacking is very soon. Let's take a look at that news clip, and then I will come back and explain all of those difficult terms.
An hour-long chase in Los Angeles after a bus hijacking. Matt Gutman has the latest on the LAPD's investigation. Good morning, Matt.
Michael, good morning. That terrifying standoff in the heart of downtown LA is now over.
For each of the difficult terms, I will have a picture, I will have an official definition, and I will use that term in a sentence. This first one here is chase. Chase means when someone follows another person quickly, usually to catch them. Well, it's not always a person. In the picture, you can see a little girl is chasing her dog. I have bad news for that little girl. Dogs are usually pretty quick. It is unlikely she will be able to catch that dog unless the dog lets her catch him or her. It could be a girl dog. I'm not sure. The police started a chase after the man hijacked the bus. Let's talk about what hijacking means. Taking control of a vehicle by force, usually from its driver. Now, in that picture, I would call that carjacking. Planes are sometimes hijacked, but it's not very often that a bus gets hijacked. It appears that a man took over driving the bus. He threatened the bus driver, and sadly, we will find out he killed a person on board.
An hour-long chase in Los Angeles after a bus hijacking. Matt Gutman has the latest on the LAPD's investigation. Good morning, Matt.
Michael, good morning. That terrifying standoff in the heart of downtown LA is now over. The LAPD saying one passenger was reportedly shot multiple times, died at an area hospital.
That must have been a terrifying situation for everyone on board that bus. Terrifying means very scary or frightening. The passengers had a terrifying experience during the bus hijacking. Standoff. This sometimes happens with the police. A situation where two sides cannot agree or make a move. The man inside the bus had hostages. Those are innocent people who could be harmed if the hijacker wants to do something bad. The police can't just go into the bus because the hostages could be hurt. There was a long standoff between the hijacker and the police.
That terrifying standoff in the heart of downtown LA is now over. The LAPD saying one passenger was reportedly shot multiple times, died at an area hospital. The suspected hijacker has been arrested, and the driver and another passenger have been rescued. You can see them being pulled out of that bus.
They mentioned this happened in the heart of Los Angeles, or sometimes you will hear that city just called LA for short. In the heart of, it means in the middle or center of a place. The hijacking happened in the heart of Los Angeles, where many people live and work. And there is a picture of a human heart. You know, the heart is in the center of our body. This bus hijacking took place in the heart of Los Angeles, right in the middle. LAPD, that is an acronym. The L stands for something, the A stands for something. Los Angeles Police Department. that is quite a mouthful to say, so we will just say LAPD. It is the police force in Los Angeles. The LAPD quickly responded to the hijacking to rescue the passengers. Passenger. Just in case you don't know what that term is, it is a person who is riding in a vehicle but not driving it. Let me teach you this bonus term we have in the United States right now. It is becoming very popular. It is called a passenger princess. Jamie, my wife, likes to think that she is a passenger princess. That means a woman who just gets into the passenger side of the car and lets her husband do all of the driving. She doesn't have to worry about anything, which I am fine with because I kind of get car sick when I am not driving. So I am very happy to let her become my passenger princess. Figured this is such a serious story. We should have just a little bit of a funny story.
The LAPD saying one passenger was reportedly shot multiple times.
Multiple. Many. Have you heard this term? In the picture, those men are standing in front of multiple doors. I wonder what could be behind those doors. I've never seen so many different colored doors in one place. I bet AI created that image. Multiple. It means more than one, many. Multiple police cars were following the hijacked bus. I'm not sure about you, but I love flying to new places. Here is another sentence using multiple. There are multiple passengers on that airplane.
The LAPD saying one passenger was reportedly shot multiple times, died at an area hospital. The suspected hijacker has been arrested, and the driver and another passenger have been rescued. You can see them being pulled out of that bus here in the middle of the night.
Rescued. If you have seen any of my English lessons I did about the recent hurricanes that have hit the United States, you have seen this term already. Hopefully this is review. It's always good to review the terms you have learned. Hey, and it's always good to view these lessons multiple times. Rescued means saved from a dangerous situation. All the passengers were rescued safely after the hijacker was caught. That is just an example sentence. I wish it was true, but as we learned, there was one person who was killed and a couple others who were injured. Not everyone was rescued safely. I have a sentence to go along with our picture. The firefighter rescued the woman from the burning building. Oh boy, pulled out. We have so many different ways pulled out is used in English. It is a very tricky English phrasal verb. It means to remove someone or something from a place, at least the way they used it in the news clip. Police pulled out the hijacker from the bus once they stopped it. In reality, there are about 8 different ways Americans use the phrasal verb pull out. I have made an English lesson about this on my members channel. It is about 20 minutes long. If you would like bonus English lessons, become a channel member today. There is a link in the description and there is a link in the comments. Appears is another word in English that we have multiple meanings for, but in the news clip, they used it like this. Kind of like to make a guess. Seems or looks like something is happening. Maybe people watching that bus go by would say, it appears somebody has hijacked that bus. It appears the hijacker planned to drive the bus far away. At the time of the recording of this English lesson, nobody is exactly sure why that man decided to hijack the bus.
You can see them being pulled out of that bus here in the middle of the night. Now, police are still investigating why the suspect appears to have hijacked that Metro City bus and then started that slow speed chase through Los Angeles. The bus trailed by those LAPD cruisers. You can see lights and sirens.
Metro. When I hear this, I think big city. Metro means a public transportation system, often with buses and trains. Public means anyone can use it, probably as long as they pay. If something is private, not everyone can use it. The hijacked bus was part of the Los Angeles metro system. Los Angeles is famous for its high-speed chases, but in this case, we had a slow-speed chase. This is just an example sentence using both slow-speed chase and high-speed chase. At first, it was a slow-speed chase, but it quickly turned into a high-speed chase when the hijacker tried to escape faster. I mean, a bus is not able to go too fast, so even if the driver floored it, I don't think he could have gone too fast. Floored it. Do you know that little bit of American slang? It means when somebody pushes their foot all the way on the gas pedal to try to go as fast as they can.
And then started that slow speed chase through Los Angeles. The bus trailed by those LAPD cruisers. You can see lights and sirens. The driver of the bus at the wheel, easing the bus over city streets and over those spike strips that officers deployed to try to puncture the tires of the bus.
Trailed. So if somebody is chasing somebody else, the person behind, you could say they are trailing them, which can be confusing because trail can be a verb or a noun. The noun form can be found in the picture. Those bike riders are riding on a trail. It's like a path. Path and trail are often used in the same way, but we have the verb form in the news story. Followed closely behind. The police trailed the bus for several miles during the chase. The news story mentioned cruisers. Cruisers is just another name for police cars. Several LAPD cruisers were sent to stop the bus during the chase.
The bus trailed by those LAPD cruisers. You can see lights and sirens. The driver of the bus at the wheel, easing the bus over city streets and over those spike strips that officers deployed to try to puncture the tires of the bus.
At the wheel. It's another way to say somebody was driving. Let's look at the official definition. In control of a vehicle, driving. You might also hear behind the wheel. The hijacker was at the wheel of the bus during the chase. Easing. Think slowly when you hear easing, making something slower or more relaxed. In the picture, it looks like that person is easing back in their chair. In other words, like leaning back, but doing it slowly, more relaxed. The police were easing their cars closer to the bus to avoid making the hijacker panic. Panic. That is another word we've talked about when we talked about hurricanes. Feeling panicked and feeling terrified are basically the same thing. Spike strips. I couldn't find a great picture of spike strips. They usually go across the road rather than along the road like in the picture, but hopefully that gives you an idea of what spike strips look like. A device with sharp points used to stop a vehicle by puncturing its tires. Puncturing. Popped. They tried to pop the tires of the bus. The police deployed spike strips to stop the bus by puncturing its tires. Deployed. That is probably a verb we should talk about. One quick favor. If you are enjoying this English lesson, please hit that like button. Other English learners will be able to find this lesson. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe so you never miss another English lesson. You can deploy quite a few different things in English. They deployed those spike strips, and it means to use or place something in action. Spike strips were deployed on the road to stop the bus. But in the picture, I have a parachute. A parachute is very helpful if you are jumping out of a plane. It will slow down your fall, but a parachute is something else that can be deployed. She deployed her parachute after jumping from the plane. Troops. Soldiers. Those words mean basically the same thing. The general deployed troops to the battlefield. All right, puncture, pop. They mean the same thing, but let's get an official definition. To make a small hole in something, often causing it to lose air. The bus tires were punctured by the spike strips, forcing it to stop.
And over those spike strips that officers deployed to try to puncture the tires of the bus to try to slow it down. Now, you can see in this video, the marquee on the bus, instead of a bus route, says the emergency, call 911.
This next word is pronounced marquee, and it is a sign on a bus or building that shows information. Here is an example sentence, not exactly true. The bus marquee was still showing the route or route. In American English, we pronounce that two ways, route or route. The bus marquee was still showing the route even during the hijacking. Yeah, that's not true. If you remember from the news clip, it was showing call 911, letting people know the bus had some sort of emergency. I love that picture. It looks like AI did it though, but there is a beautiful marquee on that building. A lot of theaters in the United States will have marquees, maybe talking about a movie they are showing, or maybe a play that is being performed at that theater. I need to get my glasses on. I can't quite see what that is saying. Probably nothing. I do see the word show and then a bunch of gibberish. Do you know that word gibberish? It's words or sounds that make no sense.
Finally, the bus stopped. SWAT was called out, and eventually it seems to have raided the bus to free the passengers and the driver. Now, at this point, it's unclear how that passenger died of those gunshot wounds or who shot him. Authorities say they are still investigating the incident, but it's the latest in a string of security incidents aboard mass transit here in Los Angeles.
We have another acronym here, SWAT. It means Special Weapons and Tactics. A special team of police trained for dangerous situations. The SWAT team was called to help during the standoff with the hijacker. Earlier, we talked about hijacking as a verb, something you do, but a person who is doing the hijacking, we would call them a hijacker. Eventually, this might be review. If it is not, it is a great word to know in English. It means it will happen, but it might take some time. Eventually, your English will be amazing if you keep studying hard. Who knows? Maybe it already is amazing. If so, you have done a lot of hard work to get your English so good. Eventually, the police were able to stop the bus and arrest the hijacker. Raided. Entered a place suddenly, like quickly, often by force, to stop illegal activity. They raided the bus, but a lot of times people's houses are raided if they are doing something illegal inside. The SWAT team raided the bus to capture the hijacker. The news clip mentioned a string of, and in that picture, you can see a hurricane. Unfortunately, the United States has experienced a string of hurricanes recently. Luckily, in my part of the United States, we have been spared. We haven't had any hurricanes, but in the southeastern part of the United States, they have experienced a string of hurricanes. Well, let's get a definition for a string of. A series of similar events happening one after another. Right in a row. Maybe today you have decided to watch a string of English lessons, lots of English lessons back to back, in a row. There have been a string of hijackings in Los Angeles recently. Luckily, I don't think that example sentence is true. Are movies getting worse? Are they still making good movies? I'm not so sure. I've seen a string of bad movies lately. Hopefully, the next one I watch is a good one.
But it's the latest in a string of security incidents aboard mass transit here in Los Angeles.
Mass transit, a system of public transportation like buses and trains. Remember when we talked about metro before? Metro system and mass transit are basically the same thing. The bus hijacking caused delays in the city's mass transit system. That's it. I hope you have enjoyed this English lesson. If you're still looking for more English, right down there is an hour's worth of English about hurricanes. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.